When it comes to OCD, so many people will tell you, do this, others will tell you, do that. You will find people who are like, our approach is better than yours. You'll find people who will only say ERP is the way, and that even most people for whom it doesn't work, they come back later saying, oh, now it kind of does. You'll find people who proclaim the new kid on the block, ICBT, subtly claiming that all the approaches are good, but that they may be good for someone else, each and every one of them, while always hinting that this approach is actually the best one. Then you go on to Reddit and forums like that, and you see so many people claiming I've been fully recovered, and their recipe is sometimes just so simple that there's no way in hell that if they had my OCD, they would recover with such a simple freaking method. Now, as a psychologist and a patient with OCD ever since I was 7 years old, someone who had health OCD, contamination OCD, I wanted to say harm, but I actually never got harm. That's like the only Pokemon left for me to collect. Blaming OCD, which was my main type, which is almost unique, but I blame people in my life for limiting me. Extreme somatic OCD. My OCD was extreme, and thus, I think I know what is best for you. Now that's the problem. Everyone thinks they know what's best for you. Now I will contradict myself, but I don't want to tell you what the best approach is, because what I want to tell you is every approach is the best one, and you're gonna combine them all. These mice wars about who's the best approach, who's the best therapy, they'll make you believe that they don't care. But actually people who are into ICBT or ERP, they care too much. Like they're trying to prove that their system is the best. Although I'm just 28, believe it or not, I've created my own system of psychotherapy, which I call transformative therapy. Now, transformative therapy is pretty much just a method that I used for my OCD and that of my clients that work the best, in my opinion, by far the best. And I honestly think this is the best method on the internet in 2025 on how to get over OCD. But it's really just about combining all these different approaches. So transformative therapy is all about 6 pillars, and you can imagine them like a Greek temple, and they're not just for OCD. I call them 6 pillars in mental health in general, because what transformative therapy focuses on is you and your transformation into the strongest, best, most free version of yourself. And it all stems on the quote from Epictetus, who said, God is like your trainer in the gym, and you are a wrestler. And if you want to get a really good wrestling skill, God will pair you up with a really tough young buck for you to really struggle with him. But that's actually what's going to make you an Olympic level material. You get the point. That's what transformative therapy is all about. So while other therapies like ICBT, what they do is they focus on you're here, the disorder's here, it's bothering you, and they don't really care whether you go here or not. What they care about is ideally dropping out of the picture completely or just lowering the symptoms. Here's the focus on your disorder. Transformative therapy focuses on you, on this, on you becoming the strongest version, that Olympic level material, but in mental health, so that your disorder, whatever it is, death of a loved one, which is not a disorder, but it can be any hardship that you'll ever face after OCD, your own death, illnesses, rejection, breakups, all these things, you get so strong that they can no longer bully you. Why? Because now you're stronger. Only something that's stronger than you can bully you. So that's the premise of transformative therapy. And transformative therapy views all these struggles as a way for you to grow. Just like in the gym, those are the weights. You're gonna grow stronger, not in physical health, but in mental health. The way transformative therapy looks at these pillars that I talked about before of mental health. There are 6 pillars of mental health, and they're general mental health. It's not just for OCD, they're for everything. On top of that, imagine it like a Roman or Greek temple, there's a roof. The roof is the heaviness of life. OCD, anorexia, bipolar, cyclothymia, whatever you get. divorce, rejection, being made redundant, all that hardness. If you got these 6 pillars, you will be able to lift the weight so it doesn't crush on your head, this problem. And these 6 pillars are, and this is what you need to know for OCD the most: insight, which is pretty much ICBT. That's what I urge my clients to do. Do some ICBT because that's insight. It makes you not believe in the patterns of your disorder, and it makes the disorder ego dystonic, meaning you'll realize it's not egosyntonic, which would mean, oh, these are my faults. I don't want the tiramisu for anorexia, or I want to be clean in my hands for OCD. You'll realize, no, it's not me who wants to clean my hands. It's actually that damn OCD. You'll create that separation. That's what ICBT is for. It's not like ICBT is there and they're presenting it like it will resolve your OCD. Well, I've tried it with clients. I'm not trained in it. I just use it from the books. I bought the books for therapists, etc. It kind of worked. For some clients, there were amazing leaps. But guess what? Did it work for everyone? No. They even say so. Was it like the best thing that I was like, oh my God? No. It was really great. And with some clients who ERP wasn't good for, or who could not do exposures well, this was it. Like, this was their holy grail. This was the philosopher's stone they needed. It was a lifesaver for them. But is it like what they make it into? I don't know. There's a science behind it. I looked into it. It should be legit, but not for me. Not from my experience. Maybe I did. And of course, I didn't do it as well as these like licensed. There's actually no license, I think, in ICBT right now. But as these like therapists who've been trained under Frederick Ardema in his groups, etc. But like, I'm sorry. That's just my take. And so it's insight. That's just one pillar. Then you have the pillar of warrior, or I call it inner warrior, which is healthy anger, which is bullying OCD back. It's kind of like that good old ERP approach of Jonathan Grayson or Reed Wilson. It's just that like, okay, OCD, you bully me? There you go. You don't like me to touch this? Oh, I'm gonna touch it. You don't like me, you would like me to touch that with symmetry OCD, for example. I'm not gonna touch that then. You do the opposite of these patterns. So insight is you realize these patterns, you make them ego dystonic with OCD. Realize, oh, these are not my faults. They're not real. I don't believe them. They're BS. You use ICBT for that. Or other kinds of kind of like modern narrative therapies, but those are not tailor-made, so use ICBT. Then for inner warrior, it's not just not doing compulsions. People think inner warrior is not doing compulsions. Inner warrior is doing exposures. It's doing these extra little things. Like, for example, when I was making this, normally I would be kind of just right about everything I've done. But no, I just kind of make it, you know, and maybe there's like a drop falling down and I kind of leave it and I kind of left it, placed it on the table. Then when the drop was like here, I cleaned it. Before, I would be like, when I had no inner warrior, I would be like, oh my God, let's clean it before I put it on the table so everything's perfect. That's the warrior. Then you have life. Life pillar is something ICBT doesn't talk about. Actually, it does in the later modules when it wants you to live your real self. ERP also kind of talks about it sometimes, like with Stephen Phillipson. I think he mentions it quite a lot. But like, it's not like a staple pillar, at least to me. In transformative therapy, life as a pillar is twofold. It means regime, so good habits, waking up on time, not being on your phone all the time, all that good stuff, plus living life in balance. And here I use Jungian archetypes: king, warrior, magician, lover, or queen, warrioress. English is my second language, pardon me here please. Magicianess, and a loveress? No idea. Anyway, you get the point. It's like those Jungian archetypes, you know, king is like, I have my life planned. I have some inner center. It may be your sense of spirituality. There's order and not chaos in my life. Warrior is, I face my challenges head on. I work hard for something. I'm on some mission. I am fighting some evil of my life. Magician is, I think things thoroughly true. I can learn new languages. It's the thinking aspect of your life, the interpreting aspect of your life. And then you got the lover, who is kind of like enjoyment, lightness of being, maybe going on a date with your wife, or maybe just like playing a tabletop game. It's your inner child, it's these things. But you don't need those archetypes. The point is, the pillar of life, if you want to recover from your OCD, you need insight, you need warrior, and you need to live your life to the fullest. If I were to ask you how much you like your life, even with OCD, because people always say without OCD 10, even with OCD. So you got to live it even better than people who have no OCD. You should say 10 or 7 to 10, because each of these pillars we want to bring to at least 7 or more out of 10. Now, if you were to say 7 plus, people who do so, they always have a good regime and they have a very balanced life. They don't have just warrior, which would mean they would just work all the time. No, they don't have just lover, which would mean, oh, I'm just with my girlfriend or boyfriend all the time. No, they have all of these archetypes. Plus good regime, meaning good habits. Then you got what I call acceptance pillar. This is Paul David's work. This is literally you not fighting your disorder all the time. So every other pillar, it's some technique, like ICBT. There are techniques for you to learn and apply in a non-compulsive manner. ERP, you kind of like, I'm gonna expose myself now. ACT, I observe the thoughts. Acceptance is none of that. Acceptance is you not relieving your stress in any way. You learning to have shrugged shoulders. Hey, be here, do your worst, OCD. It's you learning to feel absolutely awful in what I call the worst version of yourself, and living that worst version of yourself. Whether you have homosexual OCD and you now feel like you're truly gay, whether you have contamination OCD and you now feel like you're contaminated. Acceptance is about not doing any compulsions. Warrior is about doing exposures. Acceptance is about not doing any compulsions and not relieving your symptoms anyhow. This pillar for most therapies is kind of like laissez-faire. Oh, I'm not doing any compulsions. That's great. No. In transformative therapy, you really got to cut these to 0. So let's say you pray excessively. Okay, cut it off for some time. If you train the acceptance pillar, cut it off for some time, or just pray for other people. If you are watching OCD videos just to feel better, oh, but that's not compulsion, Paul. I have contamination OCD. I'm not washing my hands. That's a compulsion for transformative therapy. I'm very strict when it comes to acceptance pillar. I think it's the most important pillar, and it's the one you ideally should build all the way to 10 out of 10, meaning in 10 out of 10 scenarios, 10 out of 10 situations, if you had to do something to relieve yourself to feel better, you choose not to. Then we got flexibility, which is rational emotive behavioral therapy. Why REBT? Because it's normally not used for OCD. Some people use it for it, but it's like, compared to traditional CBT therapies, it really focuses on, okay, what if that uncertainty is true? So it's the opposite of ICBT. It's not just like, oh, it's not true, it's obsessive doubt. No. With flexibility, you gotta be like, okay, what if I truly was gay? Now, I don't do this pillar for people with harm OCD because it's really hard to somehow be flexible about possibly killing your child. But what I still do with them is learning to be flexible with possibly having these horrible thoughts for the rest of your life. So flexibility is twofold. It's accepting your worst scenario. Accepting means here being flexible. So I don't want it, but if it comes, that's life. And I could still deal with it. And secondary, it's also, if I have OCD for the rest of my life, even if I try hard and I work on it and I have it for the rest of my life, I prefer not to. Again, flexibility, but that's life. Life's tough, and I could bear it somehow, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. So it's changing your black and white thinking about these worst case scenarios into more benign, I don't want this, but hey, if it has to be, it will be. So that's flexibility. It stems from stoicism. It stems from rational emotive behavioral therapy, which I love for OCD because it's a perfect expansion for ERP. ERP is all about, hey, go into uncertainty. Be like, okay, maybe I'm gay, but I'm still gonna look at that man in a flirtatious way or whatever. And this is a perfect expansion in a cognitive sense because it makes you be like, okay, what if I truly am gay? What if I truly get hepatitis? What if I truly break up with relationship OCD? Okay, how to view it as not the end of the world, how to view it as something I could bear, how to view it in a way where I would still feel like my life doesn't end when this thing happens. This flexibility pillar is really hard, but if you have it, you got extra steps for in beating OCD. Then we got the last pillar, which I call existentialism. Existentialism is you having not just negative meaning of suffering in your life, you not just feeling neutral meaning of suffering in your life. Oh, I have OCD, but everyone has something. But you having positive meaning in your life. Oh, OCD is a great teacher. It's like my very own teacher of philosophy. It's moving me forward. So existentialism is your mindset. It's that Epictetus quote that I said in the beginning. Negative 0 to 3 existentialism out of 10 would be victim mode. It would be, oh, why me? Everyone else is normal. Oh, stupid suffering, there's no point in it, you know. Neutral would be, as I said, everyone has something, and positive meaning is like, really, you see a meaning in this. You're actually kind of glad for having this. You're actually kind of like, okay, this made my life better. This makes my life better. And you see it. You see how this teaches you how to live, how to be stronger, how to grow in your mental health pillars, way beyond just OCD, how to have way better mental health than 9 out of 10 people on the street. Way beyond just overcoming OCD. So that's existentialism. What I recommend here is the Bible, or which is because Christianity is like 2,000-year-old meditation for suffering. It's the only religion where the main guy gets like really badly brutalized and killed, I believe. So it's meditation about, okay, what is the positive meaning of suffering? I recommend some Viktor Frankl for it, and existentialist philosophers or therapists in general. And if you're not into religious stuff, I really recommend reading philosophy and writing a journal. Journaling is just like praying. You know, I love to pray more because I like to talk out loud or in my head, and I believe in God. But if you don't, you can just journal out. And the way you grow in existentialism is you reflect positively each and every day on your experience with OCD, non-compulsively. So if you train your acceptance pillar, if you have it weak, then you're just, you cut this for a few weeks. So you build your acceptance pillar, then you may come back to this. But what you do is you grow, these synapses grow in you. Your reticular activation system, which is the focus system of your brain, it changes its focus from, oh, this is such a bad experience, to, okay, this is really tough, but it teaches me a lot of things about how to live the life and to become the best version of myself. This will really help me in that. It's like weights in the gym. And I kid you not, this is how my brain works now. It's effortless now for me to think this way. And it's so much easier. Like, I never find myself complaining about life. That's what OCD taught me. I have great acceptance of whatever comes, whatever emotion. I can feel awful. I don't always have to somehow try to send that emotion away. I have a great warrior spirit in me. My life is absolutely awesome, way beyond what all my friends who have no OCD have. So like, existentialism, yeah, that's something that you build also, and it's a key component, at least for me. So anyway, guys, I could be talking about this for hours, but I don't want to make this too long. But the point blank of this video is, if you think you only need ICBT, or if you think you only need ERP, or if you think you only need whatever, I don't want to break it to you, but you may think you have the hardest OCD ever, but even people who do so, oftentimes they may have actually kind of mild OCD. They may have kind of like moderate OCD. OCD is such a severe condition that so many people who are even on the lower levels, if you do like iBox, which is like Yale-Brown OCD scale with them, they may not even be severe cases, but they still are like, oh, this is like so crazy, it's destroying my life so much. Now, this model that I presented here is mostly for people who have really, really severe OCD. Like people like me who are like, it's almost like there's a borderline personality disorder, and then there's this new diagnosis few years back, which is called CBPD, complex borderline personality disorder, meaning it's related to like great trauma, for example, and it's like this, like BPD is like one of the worst beasts you can encounter in the mental health world. Complex BPD is like a whole different beast altogether even. You know, it's like Gandalf the Grey in Lord of the Rings versus Gandalf the White. It's like Gandalf the Grey was super powerful, but it's still nothing compared to Gandalf the White. And I don't want to compare sufferings here, but the approach I presented here is mostly for the really, not even severe, but very severe cases like elbows. That's what it's most for. But even if you use it with the milder forms of OCD, it will still work wonders, because like, you're not just doing one thing, you're doing it all. And it may seem kind of schizophrenic, or more like, or better yet, like multi-personality, you know, ish, which is like, hey, how I'm gonna do like ICBT, which is all about trying to convince your brain that, hey, these things, these thoughts are really not legit, these fears are really not legit. And then I'm gonna do like flexibility, which is like REBT, which is all about, okay, let's suppose it really would happen, this worst case scenario. How can you see it as less awful? Well, that's what I thought, and I thought it's gonna confuse my brain, but it really works. I feel and tested this, and it really works. You're just monitoring all these pillars from 0 to 10. You should, in all of them, get to 7 out of 10 at least, and then if you really wanna push it and go for full recovery, which may not always happen, but if you wanna push it, in warrior and in acceptance, especially in these two, you should go for 10 out of 10. And then if you have 7 everywhere else, or just 7 in general everywhere, if you're not really pushing it for the full recovery, then I guarantee you, when I ask you how much is your OCD on 0 out of 10, you will say 0 to 3. And 0 to 3, that's my aim goal for recovery, because not everyone will go to 0. You know, only 1/5 of people will achieve full remission in OCD trials, and I personally, I believe it's even less. But this is something, when you use it and I ask you, I guarantee you, your OCD will be 0 to 3 if you grow in these pillars to 7 out of 10, up to 10 out of 10. There's a direct correlation. No, it's not a tested therapy, it's not, but it's field tested with me and my clients to an nth degree, and I always see the same result. So yeah, guys, what I want to say is, don't be afraid to combine all these approaches, all these therapies. They're wonderful, but in and of themselves, they, at least that was for me, they always lacked something. I always had a point where no matter how much I tried with ERP or ICBT or any of these approaches, that new trigger, that new episode, I just couldn't beat, no matter how much I tried in that given approach. Even if, you know, and some of you may be like, oh, maybe you tried it compulsively. Well, I thought of that, and I tried to back down even and just do the approach kind of like, I always hit the roadblock. Before I created transformative therapy, had these 6 pillars and realized they're all pillars of mental health. They're all super important for mental health, and worked on those. So guys, if you have these pillars, I guarantee you, you will recover from OCD. You're going to live amazing life. Your life will be unrecognizable, so much better than if you never had OCD in the first place. I guarantee you that. And your whole identity, how you feel about yourself, your confidence, it will skyrocket thanks to developing those. So unlike these other approaches that I love, and I kind of, you know, want you to combine both, but unlike them, I'm not just saying, hey, overcome your OCD and then be normal. No, I'm saying overcome your OCD and you will be way better than normal. Because normal people also struggle with mental health. You will still struggle too. You'll not be superhuman, but you're gonna have such a great mental health. It's almost like being very obese and starting to go to the gym because of it, because you have some health issues, and then getting really, really ripped. That's the effect. So now you're more ripped, you're in a better shape than people on the street. You have better physical health probably because you started eating better as well. And it's like, that's what we're doing here. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on thumbs up, click on the subscription button if you want to see more videos like this. And by the way, transformative therapy is for every single disorder. With some disorders, there are 1 or 2 more pillars more to add, which I may talk about in some further videos. For OCD, it's just these 6, but mostly these 6 are kind of like the ultimate holy grail of mental health for, I would say, 99% of mental health disorders. So if you go after these 6, you'll see really great results. Can I guarantee that? Well, I say I do. Of course, you can never guarantee anything in mental health, but I kind of do. I think that's how great this model is if you really work on it. And what it will allow you to do is to stop being so freaking minimalistic and really realize how many possibilities of mental health there are, how many paths to grow in, how many exercises for different muscles of mental health there are. It will really broaden your horizons, and you will get so much further, I believe, than with just single approaches, like doing this, doing ERP, or doing that, doing ACT only. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. See you later, and have a good one, and peace.